This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I'm so excited. I'm here on the floor of CES with the top interviewer in the entire world. I'm not nervous. This is like when you're a rookie in the NBA walking on the court with Michael Jordan. You're like, I've dreamed about this. This is awesome. And Shelly Ibach, you CEO, president of Sleep Number, obviously award-winning innovation, which we're going to get into. I really was excited to have this interview because this interview is about the playbook to success. And I tell people all the time, they look at time management. I said the most ignored thing on earth is sleep. It's the one habit that we all share. We spend more time doing it subconsciously and unconsciously than anything else, but yet most people don't study sleep. They don't think about sleep. They don't have sleep coaches and mentors or even have the right products. To start off, my grandpa told me you need 3 things to be successful. One person in your life to be a liaison between you and everyone else, that intimate partner. 2, something that you love to do, activity you get paid for that you love to do. And 3, the best bed you can find.
I love him.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah.
Speaking of love, I love him.
I love him too. And he died at 97. But Katie,
that's great.
You do so much. And one of the things that people look at, producer, author, philanthropist, obviously from anchor woman to investigative reporter to everything else that you've done. When do you sleep?
You know, I actually have always cared and been a good sleeper. And so I need, I think, 8 hours of sleep a night. When I did the Today Show, I didn't get as much sleep as I needed. And I tend to be a night person. I get a surge of energy or adrenaline sometimes late at night, which I need to continue to work on. But, you know, sleep has always really been important to me. And I feel it when I don't get a good night's sleep or I don't get a restful night's sleep, which I think, you know, either enough sleep or the quality sleep that I want. And that's why I feel so strongly that, you know, Shelly's passion is something I share. And, you know, I think what's interesting too, I really love to study trends and attitudes. And I think that when I started in television, especially on morning television, not getting much sleep was sort of a badge of honor. You know, Brian Gumbel used to almost brag that he only needed 4 hours of sleep a night. And I felt inadequate because I needed much more. And I didn't feel like, well, is it a macho thing? I don't know. But now I think that people realize that it's so important, and that's nothing to brag about, getting little sleep. It's sort of like the busyness craze. I'm so busy. And people wear that as a badge of honor, and it's actually, that's not healthy either. So I think attitudes are really shifting about time management and what is truly important in our lives, and I think Shelly is on the cutting edge of that, obviously.
Absolutely. You're incredible Entrepreneur of the Year as well. Just so many awards, but I really was intrigued because of your focus on wellness. You know, as much as we want to be productive and accessible, the wellness side, people don't realize that sleep, and I was one of those braggarts. My wife literally had to tell people, I said, I go to bed at 11 and I wake up at 4. And my wife would hit me and say, you're doing a disservice, especially to young entrepreneurs, because you fall asleep at 8 a lot of the times. Yes, you can do that routine for a little bit and it's not healthy. And so this product line that you've created has really shifted the entire paradigm, at least for me. I own one. I'm not paid commercial. I'm not here because I own one. It wasn't given to me, but it changed my life because it actually allowed me to rest and then stay at rest. How do you brand that, the importance of sleep, and the product itself aligned with that?
Well, first of all, I'm so happy that you're getting great quality sleep. And, you know, Katie was talking about badge of honor to not sleep very much. And, you know, one of the things we're really taking on is making it a badge of honor to have great quality sleep. And that's one of the reasons we did the partnership with the NFL, you know, to have all, you know, we have over 1,800 active NFL players walking around the locker rooms, sharing their sleep IQ score, which is the new badge of honor that, hey, I got great quality sleep, because it does link to higher performance or wellness, as you stated. And, the CDC has communicated that sleep deprivation is an epidemic, and 1 out of 3 adults are not getting adequate quality or quantity sleep. So as a purpose-driven company, we're dedicated to improving lives by individualizing sleep experiences, and that's where we've been focused. And we've taken this 32-year-old company and completely transformed it over the last 8 years, recognizing that connected technology is the future, and deciding to put our investments against that to be able to come forward with the 360 Smart Bed that provides our sleepers effortless, higher quality sleep. And we've recently proven that with our research, with over 25 million sleep sessions, show that each of our sleepers get at least 15 minutes of higher quality sleep every night. And that matters.
And it's codified through your app as well. I love my app because I can see where there's disturbances and how it's corrected within the app itself. But moreover too, how technology relates to this bed, but more importantly to disease as well. I know, Katie, philanthropically, you and I both work in colon cancer, I mean, the list goes on. One of the things that through my studies I found is sleep is directly related to those chronic diseases as well.
Lack of sleep, absolutely. So there is a direct link to, type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, many other diseases, and now, some real evidence towards, Alzheimer's as well. So it is so important that people, we're focused on prevention, and I think that's one of the areas that, this whole advancement of digital healthcare can make such a difference in going upstream and giving consumers a healthier experience without putting a lot of effort into it.
I have 3 teenage daughters, 2 are in college right now, and I'm sitting here and I don't have the opportunity. I'm speaking at the Female Quotient later on, and you're 2 extraordinary women entrepreneurs. At one time, you were the highest paid personality on TV. You're a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company that is award-winning and growing. It's much more than just the technology. There's a leadership aspect in both of what you do that is, I believe, why you tied both of your brands to this brand. Can both of you share just a little bit about what your belief system and your own branding is and why it's tied into the Sleep Number brand itself?
For me, I think I've had values that have been consistent throughout my career. I think I went into journalism to help people, to give them really critically important information in a digestible way to improve their lives however I could, whether it means becoming better citizens because they understand issues better, or they have the latest scientific research that will guide them in their personal behavior. Obviously with my colon cancer work, I've become a big advocate for prevention and screening. And then with Stand Up to Cancer, a collaboration between scientists or among scientists instead of competition. So all those things have really guided me, and I've tried to conduct myself with integrity and authenticity and curiosity. And so those are the things I think people think of me. And I also think, for whatever reason, people think of me as a positive person. Mm-hmm. And I try to be positive, even though there are a lot of things to not be positive about right now.
It's difficult when you're in the news
Well,
business.
and also, the world is changing, and, it's such a time of transformation globally and domestically, and because of technology. So, I try to be a little bit of a tour guide for people, and those are my values. And I think helping people lead longer, healthier, better lives has become integral to who I am because of my work with cancer research, my work with all kinds of medical research, and I did a whole hour for National Geographic on technology and is it taking away our humanity, because I sometimes think the progress in technology has outpaced some of the ethical considerations.
Right.
So I'm very interested in everything. And so Shelly and I think really found, soulmates of sorts in each other, because I like to tell important stories and she likes to change people's lives. So I think that it just was a natural fit for me to help tell the Sleep Number story.
Absolutely. And Shelly, being the Entrepreneur of the Year and a woman entrepreneur, a role model, it's going to take time in order for equality actually to effectuate the ideas that we have. And so your brand is really important as an executive as well. And what are those types of characteristics that you're portraying for my 3 teenage daughters and the millions out there, and also for my 9-year-old son? Because I think, as I speak at the female quotient, it's a we issue,
Right.
right?
Yes,
And that I want my son to learn differently than I did.
Yes.
I'm still transforming myself, beliefs that I don't even know that have been ingrained from the way I was raised, and sleep, it ties into that directly as well. What are some of the things that you think about as you build this company and this brand to help people?
I'll start with a little bit about me personally from a leadership perspective. My life journey is one of courage, and it is grounded in gratitude, faith, and curiosity. So we have some, certainly similar leadership attributes that really define who we are as individuals, and I think that's a place of connection. And that translates to authenticity. And I am a big believer and crusader of being who you are. And I think someone quoted me on Instagram the other day, Shelly Ibach said, be exactly who you are. And individualism is what this company is built on. This product was invented 32 years ago around individuality, rejecting the idea that, no two people sleep the same. And one size does not fit all. And so, it is based on individuality and ensuring that each individual receives the exact right comfort and support to be able to have their highest quality sleep. And I believe that just in life, being who you are and embracing your strengths and finding other mentors and people who will help lift you up and focus on the positive attributes for your 3 daughters and your son. To surround yourself by people like that, people who are going to bring out the best in you and help you be your very best self. And that translates to our culture. As we transformed our company, we've always been mission driven, but today we're purpose driven, and every individual is dedicated to improving lives by individualizing sleep experiences. And we share a culture that values integrity and teamwork and innovation and courage and passion. And these are the attributes that unite us, and it comes through in everything we do.
And mentorship is super important. And you both have broken barriers. My business partner is Warren Moon. It still does break barriers, and we're still working on that. But it takes a lot of courage. And both of you, as I've done research, really have, in my opinion, put out there voting for what you want. You early on with Sam Donaldson, when you started from Virginia up into DC, that was not an easy atmosphere in the newsrooms when you started. And I know it's your birthday, so we won't say how long ago that was. And me, on the other side, coming from the executive world and being a young executive in the early 90s of a multi-billion-dollar company from Minnesota, by the way, I look back on how women were treated and how few women role models were there for me. And so
I'm glad you raised that, because I think someone in Shelly's position is so important. I think she's very humble, but for your daughters and for your son, I think I'm very much an advocate of equality and opportunity for women. And I think that, you were talking about unlearning some of the things that you've been culturally conditioned to believe. And I've studied a lot about implicit bias and the messages we receive from a very early age that basically pigeonholes men and women in certain roles. And I think that's starting to change, but it's starting to change because of people like Shelly in leadership positions. They say if you can't see it, you can't be it, and it's so true. And that's why I left a wonderful job at NBC that was tailor-made for me in many ways, because I felt a responsibility to show people that a female could lead an evening newscast by herself, competently and confidently. And I think that those messages persist, those negative, objectifying messages about women, and that they're not as capable as men, and they're not enough. If you Google doctor, you see mostly male images, even though more women are in medical school than men now. So I think the best thing you can do for your daughters and your son is to question some of the images and some of the messages that they're receiving on a daily basis, and be a critical consumer. What's wrong with that? Why shouldn't that person be portrayed that way? Jesse Norman, who died in 2019, said pigeonholes are for pigeons. And I thought that was such a good quote, because I think I've been sort of categorized because I'm a female. I've been sort of diminished as perky because I'm outgoing and friendly, as if you can't be that and also highly intelligent and perceptive. So I think to continue talking to your daughters, and when you see that happening, because it does, and it almost it penetrates, it permeates their psyche like osmosis. And so I think seeing someone like Shelly, running a business like this, being the Entrepreneur of the Year, being featured at conferences as a thought leader is so critically important. And I think we've only just begun to see more women in high-ranking leadership positions, not in second tier where they have to kiss up to the guy and yes him to death, but where they're actually making the tough decisions, and that's what we need to change.
Absolutely. And one of my mentors, a thought leader, Mary Morrissey, she always taught me things are created twice. And the first creation is in thought, and thoughts are stimulated by past experience of what we see.
Yes.
Not to tie this back to my great bed, but I think people underestimate why I want them to study sleep, why I want them to practice sleep, why I want them to consider making a bigger investment in your bed than you do your car. Literally, because you're going to spend in most cities more time in your bed, hopefully, than your car.
Yes.
But thought, if we put the right attention on our thoughts, our dreams, and then create the intention through, like you, putting action and activity and desire behind it, the coincidences that we want materialize,
Yes.
right? They tend to materialize.
Right.
This is the incubator for me, right? It's my creation space. And I know you believe, and Katie, you have executed and believed on dreaming big.
Yes.
And this is where I dream. And it's so important that I wake up in a bigger space, an expanded space, and an accelerated vibration than when I went to sleep. I always say I meditate in the morning after I sleep, because I want to find my highest frequency, so each day I'm a little bit higher, can have a baseline for when ego-based consciousness takes over. What does dreaming mean to both of you? I'm going to start with you, Shelly. How important is it to dream and to have role models, etc.?
Well, it's such an important area and topic. First of all, I have to share with you, my personal mantra is sleep well, dream big. So you just said, this is all about dreaming big. It's actually about sleeping well so that you can dream big. So I often say, sleep well, dream big means sleeping well at night so you can dream big during the day. Having high quality sleep directly translates to a healthy physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And so, my personal aspirations and our company's aspiration is to make this a kinder world through better sleep. We truly believe we can change the world through higher quality sleep. We know it makes a difference in helping people show up every day, be in their best self. If you're well rested, you react emotionally in a more balanced way to whatever situation's going on. and you're sharper, both mentally, because you've had adequate sleep to be able to plume unnecessary information from your brain, and your body's well rested. So then you're ready to dream big.
And have gratitude and faith, which are two of my cornerstones. I add forgiveness and inspiration in there and accountability. But with Katie, you've succeeded. When I was in my 30s, I retired a multimillionaire and I lost everything. And people ask me, how'd you do that? And it's not because I overextended myself. I literally stopped dreaming. I grew up poor with a single mom and 6 kids. I just wanted to be rich to buy a house and a car. And all of a sudden I was surrounded with everything I dreamed of and I got lost. How difficult is it? I couldn't even list out. The whole program could be about your bios, both of you. But, we reach, it's your birthday. You're still dreaming now to change the world, both of you. Like, you haven't mentioned once about growing revenue or EBITDA or anything, and the company is extraordinarily abundant and successful, but dreaming big, you're trying to change the world, both of you. How does that incorporate into your life now that you're a little bit more experienced and it's not just about being the big brand on the NBC, you're willing to throw all that away to change the world?
Yeah, well, I think that when you reach a level of success, and I've been really fortunate, I mean, I'm a hard worker. Women always say they're lucky, men never do. So I think I'm a hard worker and I have some, a skill set. But I think for right now in my life, I feel a certain responsibility to, in a way, give back and to use whatever platform or credibility or relationship I've developed with people to do things that are maybe a little less commercial and a little sort of, I don't know, a higher calling, if you will, to talk about important health and wellness issues, to talk about the environment, to help people understand things like an implicit bias. So that's sort of what I'm thinking more, I think about my legacy now as I get older, and I think television has changed a lot. It's harder to do a deep dive into anything, and everything feels a little superficial. So I have the luxury of now that I've been successful, to really focus my lens on things I truly, deeply care about, that I feel like are missing in the world. So that's incredibly liberating. One thing I wanted to mention too about sleep, and some of the things Shelly mentioned, is a lot of people overeat because they're exhausted. Yes. And I did a documentary called Fed Up about the obesity epidemic in America. That is it's really a terrible, terrible issue, and it's affecting every aspect of our lives, from military readiness to healthcare costs. And so that's yet another reason. And one other that I think is interesting, that when I gave a commencement address at my daughter's high school, I read an article about, and I was worried about technology then, and that was 6 years ago, and our dependence on it. And I read that the part of your brain, the hippocampus, responsible for creative thinking, actually only fires when you're not distracted. Now our default position is our phones. We're never bored. We're never spend time daydreaming or just thinking about things, or just looking around us and taking it in. And as Shelly was talking, I thought about it. When you're in bed, you don't have hopefully, certainly when you're sleeping and when you're getting up in the morning, and that's when your brain can actually be at rest. And that's why some of your most creative thoughts come in the shower, when you're taking a walk, or when you're lying in bed in the morning and you're thinking about the day, or you're thinking about, your life as you're falling asleep. So that's yet another reason I think that good quality sleep is super important.
As we close this out, my personal mission in life is just to impact over 1 billion people on earth to be happy. And all the different things that we've talked about really relate to perspective, with gratitude and faith, just to be happy. And I, in my own personal life, been so blessed, and nothing attributes to my happiness more than sleeping well. overall. It's my health, my physical,
He
spiritual.
needs to be a spokesperson.
But it's true.
No,
It's true.
yes.
And so I want to finish up with your wisdom. And young women and men are watching. We have great entrepreneurial following around the world. What's the best piece of advice that each of you could give to younger people? It'll definitely go to older, but younger people will listen still to you about just being happy.
Well, this is one that's near and dear to both of our hearts. In one of the areas that Katie and I first connected on, Katie lost her husband Jay, and I lost my husband George, both to cancer. And it's the worst possible thing that can happen, and then it does. And it gives you a perspective that is quite daunting, and at the same time you really realize the importance of life and how you live your life. And for me, sleep was an incredible healer, a natural healer. I never took a single pill through the entire experience. It was just a little over 2 years ago for me. And but I did focus on sleeping. And sleep is a natural recovery, and it's restorative, and it does help you heal. And so it's a tool. And it's a shared fundamental need that we all need to pay more attention to and realize its value. I often say now, you have today. You don't know your future. People spend so much time agonizing about the future. You know what? You have now. So live your life for today. Make your choices. You choose who you spend it with. You choose who you work for. Be happy. Love everything you do every day. Find joy every single day.
And we'll see you. That's beautiful. Katie, finish up.
I mean, gosh, I think happiness is different for different people. I think they look for fulfillment in different things. But I think if I had to say for me, and perhaps something that might be universal, is I think relationships are so important. I think sometimes they get put on the back or made a low priority because everybody's working so hard, or getting sucked into their phones, and which is such a time suck, and then they get caught in the vortex of stuff. And I think that keeping technology in its proper place and really focusing on human relationships and understanding that they require nurturing. I have to remind myself of this all the time, but nothing gives me more happiness personally than my relationships with my family and my friends, and they're sort of my touchstone every day. And so I think that's a really important thing. At least that's the key to my happiness, and I think for a lot of people, they just need to remind themselves how important they are.
Every day. Well, this has been such a blessing. I am so appreciative of both of you. I will go back myself and study not only sleep, but I'm studying this interview because very rarely do I get around such wisdom. And I am grateful and also inspired by both of you. I appreciate your time. Thank you for leading Sleep Bad. We're going to lead the way. Sleep well and dream big. Here with Shelly Ibach and Katie Couric. This is Dave Meltzer, Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.